All right, everybody, very excited to be joined by a special guest. This guy's had his hand in a ton of things. Division I starting quarterback. We're going to get into that. A new fantastic dating app that's a little bit different than what you're used to, but actually a throwback back to normality and what we were used to before all the craziness. And he's also been involved politically as well, our friend John McEntee. John, I appreciate you taking some time, and I'm very excited to have this conversation.
Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Definitely. Well, I got two former Division I quarterbacks to my right and left, feeling pretty good.
Trophy candidates.
Yeah, two Heisman Trophy candidates.
He was a starter, though.
Yeah, well, again, look, your numbers
Not a good one. Not a good one.
It takes all types, man.
It does take all types. It does take all types. And Blain, is a receiver over there who we all know is the diva, but that's okay. We accept him anyway.
Once y'all's DBs quit holding, then maybe we won't be divas.
You're right, because nobody on offense ever holds.
Nope.
But that's a story for another day, because deep down we all know, just ask Brett Favre. Check out that interview. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe button. And I'm going to tell you something else you're going to like. And I think, John, you're going to like it as well after what we've seen from Connecticut, your alma mater, who had been down a little bit in football, which was kind of weird to see because I'm used to Connecticut being competitive. You think of Connecticut as a basketball school, but they have had some good years in football, and there is some tradition there. How excited were you when you heard that Jim Mora Jr. was going to be the new head man in charge, a guy that obviously has great cachet, that people know that name. It's a football family with his father and then him, what he's done in college and in the NFL, because it instantly made UConn relevant again.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it gave us tremendous credibility. I was worried that we were going the way of, they're going to disband the program. It was so bad for a few years. So I think everyone was excited by it. Obviously, they got the big win against Fresno State, and I think they can build off that. It's not going to be a great year for them, but I think he'll be able to turn around the next 2-3 years.
Without a doubt. And if you look at the transfer portal and the availability now to be able to go get guys that can turn your program from down to the middle, then back to up, because we always talk about, Cone, it's one thing if you get a player out of high school, and there are some guys that can come out of high school and be effective right away that are in their freshman years, especially with the way that the physicality and the training's changed and the conditioning has changed and the way we can take care of our bodies. But getting a player out of the portal is a proven commodity. It's like if I'm going to a new restaurant, I haven't eaten there yet, I don't know if it's good, but if I go to the restaurant across the street that I've been going to for 10 years, I probably know what's good and what's not.
Yeah, no doubt. And we had Jim Mora on the week after he took this job, and I was telling John earlier, what a fantastic hire for this program. When you look at Fresno State, who we thought, you and I both thought Fresno State could piggyback off what they did last year and be one of those top Group of Five teams this season, and UConn was one of the worst football teams in the country last season. They go and beat Fresno State. I mean, it's an incredible start for him. I see that just continuing.
Blain, how long do you think it takes till Connecticut's back being competitive every year? And when you see that name on the schedule, when you see that Husky, it strikes a little bit of fear in you.
I'd say 2 years max. I think 2 years max. I think the transfer portal is just so huge. It's basically Flex Seal. All right, you get a guy out of there, and you plug him in, you plug the hole, and next thing you know, you're good. So I think 2 years. I mean, give Coach Moore a little bit of time, but right now you can see the identity of this team developing throughout the year, and by next year, offseason, go through it, then they'll be where they need to be.
So you think there's a better chance of UConn being relevant in the next 2 years than Joe Biden getting out of a room full of mirrors?
Joe Biden could never get out of a room full of mirrors. Let's be honest.
I don't think he could either.
Just be hitting the.
No, he'd be going up and trying to give handshakes to himself. Hey, I'm Joe Biden. He'd never get out.
Well, John, I know you've been in the political world as well, the political realm, as crazy as it is. Can you kind of explain to everybody what you did with President Trump and kind of your role there? Because it's very interesting, and I want to ask you the difference in being in politics and then being in Division I football, both really competitive and can be a little bit nasty at times.
Yes, it can. And it can be a hectic schedule, and you have to learn how to manage your time, which is a great thing I learned in college. But I was the personal aide to President Trump, which is known as a body guy. This is the guy that goes everywhere with him, 24/7. You're his aide, you carry his Sharpie, you got his speech on you, you're on the helicopter, you're on the plane. 24/7, it's an absolute blast. I would recommend it to anyone that's really wanting to work their way up in politics. But he was a great boss. He was a lot of fun to work with. And a lot of the guys, it was sort of like the football atmosphere in a way. You have the military aides. Each one's carrying the nuclear football. You have the valets, all Navy guys. You have, it's kind of this broing out, like you're having fun, you're, working really hard, late nights, and you're all in it together. Kind of the same atmosphere.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit before, so Trump's pretty funny, which is something I would guess.
He is very funny, and he knows a lot about culture, so he can reference anything, which makes him a lot of fun. He'll reference an SNL skit from the 80s, he'll talk about Sinatra or Marilyn Monroe or the Yankees or, he just has this vast knowledge, so it's fun to be around.
Which one was more hectic or more wild? Being in that political space, and I know being with President Trump, it was probably twice what it normally is, or, being in the locker room and going through the game day prep and the actual games of competition of athletics, which is crazier?
The crazier is definitely politics.
That's what I would think. 100%.
I'm not surprised.
100%. That's what I would have guessed. But, I do want to pivot to something that I think is very important that you guys have just started. I'm going to let you kind of explain the way the invites work and everything like that, because it's taken everything by storm. Everybody's talking about it, and that's a new dating app, The RightStuff. I want you to introduce it. It's your baby, so just like anything, when I intro and drop the log line in the show or anything like that, I want you to kind of take the mantle, explain to people what The RightStuff is and kind of where you guys are at right now.
The RightStuff is a dating app for conservatives. A lot of these other platforms are not serving conservatives well.
No.
We're spread out on a lot of platforms. We're hidden. We have to hide our beliefs because of the hostility we face. We can't find each other. We're streamlining that. We just made an app. It's in the App Store. It's on an invite structure. Everyone gets 2 invites. We started with a group of a few thousand really energetic young conservatives that are all about it. We're letting people in as they build their profiles. We're doing the best, but the easiest way to get on is to get an invite. It'll be a familiar experience. You can swipe and like and chat. We also have fun things like posting a date because we want to emphasize getting people out.
Yeah.
Not just texting back and forth over and over, not scams, not spam, real people, real dates. Find other normal people that just want to go out, have fun. You don't have to watch what you say. You're not going to go out with someone that's offended. They're not going to show up in a mask. You all kind of see the world the same way. You're all kind of looking for the same things. Use the app, go out, have fun.
Yeah, well, I love, David, that it's an outlet for people that you feel like have to be hidden. Because like you said, and it's not just dating. It's not just dating apps. You feel like if you have a certain belief system or if you agree with a couple things on a certain side, then you either get kind of not banned, but shadowed out or kind of edged out of society a little bit. And in the dating sphere, in the time we live in, so much of it is technological. Giving an avenue to somebody who may be a little bit apprehensive about truly being themselves on a dating app where it's probably is about as important as it ever is to actually be yourself, so you're not catfishing somebody by the time you show up and say, hey, I'm actually pro-life, and everybody freaks out.
Yeah, the invite-only structure is what I find interesting because these dating sites, they rely on degeneracy, right? I mean, they're able to drive more revenues the more non-monogamous a society is, right? So if you say we have a dating app for conservative people are usually more monogamous, and once they find someone, that's the relationship they want to be in. So what's the strategy here in terms of the invite only? Is this we want a quality of people on our app over quantity of people?
We want quality, we want a controlled growth, we want to keep the trolls at bay.
There you go.
We have a really good group we're starting with, and we think this is the best way to keep it high quality. You can still grow massively. I mean, Clubhouse had an invite structure and got to 3 million users.
Sure.
So it's just more of a controlled growth initially, and we think it'll be, a much better product if we do it that way.
Without a doubt. And you're not building the parachute on the way down either. But Blain, what are your thoughts? As a guy who we know has dabbled a little bit in online dating, where
don't know that for sure. 100%.
No, I know that for sure.
No, I love it. Being a conservative myself, I really, when you fill out these other profiles, whether it's, Twitter, Tinder or anything else, they ask you, what do you believe politically? I'm always the type of guy, I don't put anything there because you will find, you go through these dating apps, there's people that you'll match with just so they can sit here and talk about how stupid it is to be conservative. So you really kind of sit back and you're like, man, I don't even want to do this anymore. It's pointless. So it feels good to kind of be in a realm or someone where you are familiar, you have familiar qualities with these other people, and you always kind of get a step ahead, so you really don't have to break the barrier in a certain way. You can just get right to chatting and right and going on dates.
Did we just become best friends? Yep!
Yeah, and anytime you're not afraid to be yourself, it's going to lend to being able to actually have a quality relationship like I was talking about earlier. But John, just like anything in the sphere and the realm that we kind of dabble in on the right side, you're going to get attacked from all angles. To me, you don't have something good unless they're preemptively attacking you, which it seems like they're already doing now, so you just invite it on, right?
Yeah, every video we put out gets a lot of hate, but it also brings us a lot of attention.
That's exactly right.
And it's funny because they've made it clear they want nothing to do with us, and yet they kind of don't want us to have our own thing.
Yeah,
so it's just a...
On the right
it's the ultimate, they're the ultimate He-Man woman haters club when it comes down.
The catch-22. So we want to try and get Blain a profile set up right?
That'd be great.
On your app.
Yeah.
We actually have, we want to show you what not to do. We want to do the opposite here because we have Tinder Blain.
Oh,
Yeah, okay.
Blain
What is
profile
y'all
here.
Take a
Do we
look at
have
Tinder
any photos of Tinder Blain?
Yeah, let's show. What would be the photos in Blaine's Tinder?
That's Tinder Blain.
There it is. There it is.
How did y'all get this?
That's actually really his profile.
Jake, what's on Tinder Blaine's profile here?
Well, you know, look, Tinder Blaine, number one, his pronouns are in the bio.
The pronouns are in the bio.
He's he, him, she,
sure.
her, flippity floppity do. Also, hashtag where were you on January 6th? We need to know. You know, where
Hashtag
exactly
never
your
forget.
pinpoint word. Hashtag never forget. Also, hashtag not deplorable. Right?
Not deplorable. We got quadruple vax and
He's
booster
quadruple
daily.
vax and
boosted.
quadruple boost.
Hashtag free Brittany Griner.
Yeah, free Britney, get her out of there.
Justice for Jussie.
Yes, justice
sure.
for Jussie. We still don't know. Look, a lot of people go to Subway at 2 in the morning in Chicago in freezing blizzards.
Yeah,
Who
it's a
doesn't?
normal- it's a normal thing.
You can eat fresh at all times during the day, David. Why would I not want to eat fresh?
Do we have another one? Do we have another Tinder Blaine
Let's
up there?
get another Tinder Blaine picture up here. Do we got it?
Oh yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh!
there he is.
The
Forever,
public was not supposed to.
forever vegan. That's forever vegan Blaine right there.
You did.
That's enemy of capitalism
Dude,
Blaine.
you look like one of the backup dancers for NSYNC.
Yeah, I look
Please
like
don't-
one of the kids off Game of Thrones who didn't get a dragon. That's what I look like.
That's exactly what you. That is 100%
This is
Tinder
like, who
Blaine.
wants to be on Tinder anymore? This is what I'm saying. This
Yeah.
is why we appreciate the work you're doing over there, John.
That's exactly
so that we
right.
can get you on the right stuff.
Now let's
Exactly.
show what would RightStuff Blaine look like.
I think we
if
have
you were
that.
trying to find somebody that wasn't out of their mind. Look at that! Look at that! Look
There it
at
is,
that!
John. Love it.
Look at that!
Love it. Not
Clean
the best hair
cut.
day,
Like
but-
you can tell. Look, this guy's just going out there to have a time. Chivalry's not dead. Will he order a mocha frappuccino? I don't know, but who's judging, Cone?
So tell us, what's in the right stuff, Blaine? Here?
What's in the?
Right stuff, Blaine, 6'3".
Yes.
You know, brown hair, blue eyes. 26 on the ACT. Played receiver
Nice.
at Western Colorado.
Friend of Austin
Let me see
Eckler.
what else. Friend of Austin Eckler. Met Rob Schneider. Do a sports show for the Daily Wire. Drive a Challenger. Got it stolen, but got it back.
That's
the
exactly
next week.
right.
So in your face. Let me see what else. Won the home run derby when I was 12. World Series home run derby. My dad was pitching to me. Won that. Lost to Tennessee. They blew it. The refs cheated. Had a rec ball team. Won 13-0. Gave up one touchdown on the last drive.
Y'all were pretty good.
The Chargers. Yeah.
So basically, just a lot of success.
You're going to get a
but-
lot of matches.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to get a
I mean,
lot
right?
of matches.
I mean, you're
I think
basically
so. I'm
going to
feeling
be
good about
sponsored
it.
by a campfire.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any more pictures of RightStuff Blaine here? There, look at that.
Any volunteers, Grandma?
That's
There you
right.
go.
Helps out with the old people, crippled kids, old crippled kids. You know, the few Benjamin Button situations we have going
important.
on as well.
It's
It is-
important.
It is very important. But in reality, you know, John, I'm sure Blaine would be an absolute, star on the app. But in reality, and all jokes aside, it is refreshing because, again, if you look in any kind of facet of society, if you have to hide your beliefs, that's not what this country was based on. That's not what we believe. It's not what you believe. I have no problem if you feel a certain way about things, but it's nice having an avenue in society where you can go, where you don't have to wear a mask. I mean, this isn't a Great Gatsby party. Was that the overall kind of point? Was that how you got the idea? Because you're looking around and...
The point is, yes, to have a place where you can be yourself openly as a conservative. That's the point. The idea was brought to us by women who thought they were not being well served on the current apps. They wanted a conservative dating app.
Gotcha.
They brought it to us, and me and my friends thought, there might be something here. We've had no luck on these, but is it just us because we work for Trump? Or, we started asking around. No, this is a way bigger problem. No one's finding the right matches. It's hard to find other conservatives. There's all this stuff in your face on these other platforms. It's like, yeah, you can put these stickers on your profile. Well, your options are climate change, feminism, BLM,
That's exactly
trans ally. There's nothing for conservatives. So you're already like in an unwelcome atmosphere and you're kind of like, okay, maybe this isn't for me. So we just wanted to give an alternative to people that are like looking to get back to normal.
What was the biggest hurdle in getting this done? Because you guys are already, it's rocking and rolling and you guys are ready to go out and take over. What was one of the biggest challenges that you faced early on?
I mean, when making an app, it's just getting the tech right. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think people know how much goes into and people, they compare it to Twitter or Instagram. It's like, this is $100 billion company, so it's like, yeah, we're trying, but
Not gonna be Walmart overnight.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, so when you're just looking to get the best first version out, which is what we have, and we're gonna be making weekly updates, but the tech is obviously the harder part. We think the reception has been great with the conservative movement and just the media in general. So just getting the tech right, being able to update it and adapt. but there hasn't been as much of a challenge. We've been working on it for a year, and we had a big investor who backed us, and we have a great team, so we're on our way.
The best business ideas are simple and they address a need, and this does both. Can you talk to some of our entrepreneur listeners out there in terms of how you went from you're working for the president to all of a sudden you're launching this? You have an idea, right? You have the inception, but then you actually can get it kicked off and off the ground.
So I was at the White House roughly the first year and the last year of the administration, 2 tours. In between then, I was kind of in the wilderness doing a little consulting work. I was seeing this kind of shift with tech and alternative tech. I thought the conservative tech thing was cool. Me and my friend made an app, an alternative social media app called Unify. You can download it. It's a little rough, but we got, 30, 40,000 people on it. That was sort of our trial run. Obviously, we were a little disappointed. We thought, oh, maybe we can make the next big thing. Didn't happen. No problem. We learned so much from that, we thought, when we left the administration, maybe we could do an app again. We already know all the pitfalls. We already know how hard it is, what we need to do this time, where we need to spend and utilize our money. And then we took these ideas we had to different people. Everyone turned us down. So we were thinking, maybe it isn't the right thing to do social media. Everyone's doing that. Truth Social, Getter, Parler.
Yeah.
Like, what else can we do? And it's when this idea was brought to us, I said, I tried to meet with this investor, and I said, let me pitch you on 4 different ideas. I pitched him on 4. The last one was the dating app for conservatives. He said, now that's a great idea. You do that one, and I'll invest in that. I said, okay, well, that's easy. We're doing that one.
There you go.
So it is like a little trial and error, and I would just tell people don't get discouraged because one thing could lead to the next. I thought that app would be great. It totally failed, but now I'm onto this app, and who knows, So I would just keep at it.
Well, it's like in baseball, we say it's amazing. You have one at bat against one pitcher. The next time you get up there, you're going to be a lot more prepared and know what to sit on. I think that's kind of a comparable thing here. John, before we wrap up here, we always talk about the value of sports and the value of athletics and what it teaches you. Obviously, as a person that's had success, as an entrepreneur in business in your career as well, how much did sports, and not only sports, but team sports, prepare you to be able to do something like this? You talked about time management earlier. Just talk a little bit about it, because we always say, everybody's not going to be a Division I quarterback. Right. Everybody's not going to play in college. But it's amazing what athletics can teach kids growing up, how to be a part of a team and how to do your job, and that the world just doesn't revolve around you.
Right. I think now there is a problem. If you ask other small business owners, they have a problem with young people showing up to work on time, wanting to put in the full effort, all these little things. And I think, if they only would have played football. That doesn't solve everything. But I just think it's so demanding for young people, football specifically, but any sport, and just having to be accountable to other people, having to listen to a coach, it helps with authority. I think everything, in sports actually does help, as like cliche as that is, because it's hard. And like when you're waking up at 5 a.m. when all the other college kids are still drunk, you're kind of like, oh, why am I doing this? But at the end of it, you do feel better, and it kind of gives you a confidence. And I think people need that, and I think it helped me a lot.
Man, when your mistakes have physical consequences, you tend to make fewer of them.
Well, no joke. Right? There's a certain sounding alarm on my phone that I will not use because it was the alarm I used to get up to go to workouts. Like every time I hear it, I get like a feeling.
There's sounds
it's like I'm like shot back. It's
there's
like
also smells too. There's smells too.
That's exactly right. There's a weight room smell, especially in the morning. Like if you had like early morning workouts, there's a weight room smell
100%.
You can. It's like the human body.
You never forget it.
You never
like forget
it. That's exactly.
I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, it's like your stomach kind of jumps a little bit. I'm thinking about bear crawls and doing all that stuff.
I'm thinking about like early mornings and not wanting to go to workouts that early. I have a question here again as it relates to President Trump. Was there ever a time when you were responsible for going and waking him up early in the morning with some sort of bad news and you really you didn't?
Oh, that'd be the worst.
So it's not necessarily bad news, but when you're on the road, you're staying in hotels. So the ordinary structure of the valet waking him up or his normal routine of when he would go to the Oval Office, that's not happening. You're on the road. You're in Japan. Everyone's clocks are all, So you'd have to, and I'd have to do this on several occasions. Yeah, you'd have to knock on the door. You'd pray he'd answer. Then you'd have to open the door, knock on the door. You'd pray he'd answer. So It was an interesting, intimate situation. Luckily, he usually got up pretty quickly. He was always eager to work. So but yeah, it was a fun job for sure.
I can only imagine.
That's awesome.
And John, number one, I appreciate you taking the time. Everybody,
so much
whether
for
they
having
can
me,
go download the app in any app store, they can just the right stuff.
It's iOS in the App Store. It's the Right Stuff or Date Right Stuff. You can follow us on social media at Date Right Stuff too.
Definitely. Well, if you've been looking in the wrong places and got the wrong results, you've been looking at the wrong stuff. Make sure you check out the right stuff. Make sure you like and subscribe. And I had to say this, it gives a whole new meaning to swiping right. I had to say it.
Yes.
I could not stand it. I've been saying it for 2 days, and I was excited to say it. So there, I got it off my chest. I feel
Very
better,
well
guys.
done.
Congrats.
I'm sure that's probably really original, and you've never heard that before.
I have never heard that. That was we might use that in one of our ads. Thank
Okay, look, you totally can. Just put a nice, just don't put that profile picture of Blain with blonde hair on there, please. Please burn that.
Yes,
and
I agree.
it's like,
That's
those are
tender
going to be
Blain.
like those shirts when they print out like 2 teams make the World Series, and they're like, or like they're like, hey, the Mets are NL East champs.
Nope.
They ship it straight to Africa.
Because they're not.
That's exactly where that
They're
picture
not.
needs to go, because they are not. And remember that. Shop on forever. But we appreciate you guys. John McEntee, check it out. The Right Stuff, a place where you can be yourself all the time and find people like you. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. Check us out.